For more than 3 decades, the world believed it understood how power worked in Iran. One man stood at the center of that system, a leader known across the world. But what if the real story was happening in shadows? What if the most powerful figure was the one nobody was looking at? Today, Western media is telling a new story. A story about hidden power, secret networks, and a man who rarely speaks. But is this a revelation or a narrative? Tonight, we investigate the story behind the story. In recent months, a new name has begun appearing across Western think tanks and media reports. That name is Mojtaba Khamenei. For decades, he remained almost invisible in global politics. No speeches, no elections, no public political campaigns. And yet suddenly, Western analysts are calling him one of the most powerful figures in Iran. A man who they claim has quietly shaped decisions for decades. A strategist behind the curtain. The question is simple. If this power existed all along, why is the world only hearing about it now? To understand this moment, we must go back in time. Back to the war that reshaped modern Iran. 8 years of conflict, millions affected, an entire generation shaped by war. Western analysts say this period helped form the networks that still influence Iranian politics today. Relationships forged in war often become alliances in peace. And according to some reports, Mojtaba Khamenei was observing these networks closely, learning how power moves inside the system. But here is where the story becomes complicated, because for most of the past 30 years, his name rarely appeared in global media, not in major political reports, not in diplomatic briefings, not even in most intelligence assessments made public. And that silence raises a critical question. If Mojtaba Khamenei was truly the hidden center of power, how did the world miss it for so long? Or did it miss it at all? The story surrounding Mojtaba Khamenei did not emerge in isolation. It appeared first inside policy circles, reports, briefings, and strategic assessments. Soon, the narrative moved from research papers to television screens. International headlines began asking the same question. Who is Mojtaba Khamenei? And why has the world heard so little about him? According to Western commentators, the answer lies inside Iran's internal power networks. Networks built over decades, connections formed during the chaos of war, and alliances that grew stronger in the years that followed. But here is where speculation begins to blur with evidence, because many of these claims rely on anonymous sources, unnamed officials, and confidential intelligence briefings. In other words, information that the public cannot fully verify. Another part of the narrative involves financial networks. Some investigative reports claim these networks extend beyond Iran's borders, toward major financial hubs, business centers, and international investment corridors. These reports suggest that powerful Iranian networks operate quietly across global markets. But these claims are heavily disputed. Supporters of Iran's political system call them propaganda, a strategy designed to shape global perception and influence public opinion. Because in geopolitics, narratives can be as powerful as weapons. But perhaps the biggest mystery lies elsewhere, inside the world of intelligence agencies. The United States, Israel, and Europe's intelligence networks. These institutions monitor global power structures constantly. Every alliance, every financial movement, every political shift. So critics ask a simple question. If Mojtaba Khamenei truly controlled Iran's political system behind the scenes, how did the world's intelligence agencies miss it for 30 years? Did they overlook it? Or is the story being exaggerated now? Many independent observers believe the answer lies somewhere in between, because power in Iran is rarely controlled by one individual alone. Instead, it operates through layers: religious institutions, political leadership, security organizations, and strategic councils. Each layer influences the others, creating a system far more complex than a single hidden ruler. Yet the narrative continues to grow, and with every new report, the mystery deepens, because the man at the center of the story still rarely speaks, still avoids the spotlight, and still remains largely unknown to the world. Which raises the most important question of all: what happens if the narrative is wrong? Behind every discussion about Mojtaba Khamenei lies a deeper question, the question of succession. For more than 3 decades, one man has stood at the pinnacle of Iran's political system, a figure both revered by supporters and scrutinized by critics. But every long leadership era eventually raises the same question: what happens next? Who will guide the future of the Islamic Republic? Inside Iran, that decision does not belong to one individual. It belongs to a constitutional body known as the Assembly of Experts, an institution tasked with selecting the country's supreme leader. And that process has fueled endless speculation. Some analysts believe Mojtaba Khamenei could be a candidate. Others dismiss the idea entirely, because within Iran's religious hierarchy, titles matter. And one title, in particular, has become part of the debate: the distinction between Hujjatul Islam and Ayatollah, a debate that outsiders often misunderstand, because Iran's constitution has evolved before. When leadership changed after the death of Ruhollah Khomeini, at that moment, constitutional adjustments reshaped the leadership structure, and Ali Khamenei emerged as supreme leader. That history is why today's speculation persists. But the debate about Mojtaba Khamenei is not happening only inside Iran. It is also unfolding across international media, across think tanks, and across geopolitical rivalries. Because narratives shape perception, and perception shapes strategy. If a leader is portrayed as unpredictable, markets react, governments prepare, and alliances adjust. This is the invisible battlefield of modern geopolitics. But here is the paradox. Despite years of speculation, very little direct information exists about Mojtaba Khamenei's political views. Few speeches, few public statements, and almost no interviews, which leaves analysts filling the silence with theories. Some portray him as a powerful strategist. Others see him as a quiet religious scholar. And many admit they simply do not know. That uncertainty has turned Mojtaba Khamenei into a symbol of hidden power, a symbol of mystery, and a symbol of the questions surrounding Iran's future. But history teaches us something important. In geopolitics, narratives change faster than reality, and today's mystery can become tomorrow's misunderstanding, which means the real story may still be unfolding. As speculation continues to grow around Mojtaba Khamenei, one reality remains clear. The future of Iran is more than a question of one individual. It is a question about institutions, religious leadership, political authority, and strategic decision-making, all of which interact inside one of the most complex political systems in the world. Because leadership in Iran affects far more than domestic politics. It influences regional alliances, energy markets, and global security calculations. For decades, tensions between Iran and the West have shaped international politics, from nuclear negotiations to economic sanctions to regional conflicts. Every leadership transition raises new strategic questions. But there is another battlefield shaping the future, the battlefield of narratives, where stories travel faster than facts, and perception becomes power. Some portray Mojtaba Khamenei as a shadow strategist. Others reject the narrative entirely. Between those perspectives lies a landscape of uncertainty. History reminds us that power rarely moves in straight lines. It moves quietly, gradually, and often far from the cameras, which is why the story of Mojtaba Khamenei remains unfinished. Because what we know is only a fraction of the full picture, and what we do not know may shape the future of an entire region. For now, the world watches, analysts speculate, and governments prepare for possibilities. But the truth about power in Iran will ultimately be written inside Iran itself, not in foreign headlines, not in speculation, but in decisions yet to be made, and in events that have not yet unfolded. Because in geopolitics, understanding the story behind the headlines is more important than ever. If you want deeper investigations into global power and hidden history, subscribe for more documentaries that explore the forces shaping our world. Because sometimes, the most important stories are the ones still unfolding.